What's going on, world? It's your boy Alex Miner, and today we're going to be taking a look at the best and sometimes most cost-effective wide-angle lenses for Micro Four Thirds. So why is this important? Why is this even a thing? Well, I'm a dedicated Micro Four Thirds shooter, and if you're like me, you're probably used to people always downplaying the system, complaining about the sensor size, complaining about the crop factor, and constantly being in your ear like,
you know you should really like a full frame, bro.
Look, I get it. If you've got a full frame camera, you get a wider field of view, better depth of field, no crop factor, whatever. Everything that people tell you you can't get with Micro Four Thirds is a lie. You might just have to work a little bit harder for it. And because of the so-called crop factor, one of the things that people struggle with is getting a wide field of view. So we're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to give you my personal list of what I think are the best wide angle lenses for Micro Four Thirds. Now, I don't own every lens on this list, but I've used most of them, or I've seen a ton of test footage, and I can tell you that definitively these are the best. Most of the lenses I'm going to recommend are fairly budget friendly, but if there's something else available in the same focal length that's either more expensive or cheaper but I think might be worth your time, I'll let you know that too. First up is my all-time favorite, the ultra-wide Laowa 7.5mm f2. Now this lens might not qualify as budget-friendly for some of you, coming in at $500 new, but it's got some unique features that set it apart from other lenses in the same range. This lens is tiny, but it's all metal and built like a tank. I've had mine for 2 years and haven't put a single scratch in it. It's also one of the only rectilinear lenses for Micro Four Thirds available under 10mm. Almost everything else in this category is a fisheye. Plus the fact that it's an f2 also makes it the fastest lens available, because the only other 7 or 8mm lens that's rectilinear that I've ever heard of is made by SLR Magic, and that's an 8mm f4. Next up is the SLR Magic 10mm T 2.1 Cine lens. This lens is pushing the boundaries of budget friendly even further with a purchase price of $700. If it's on sale, you can find it for about $550, but I got mine used from B&H for $325. Your only other choices for this focal length are either a Rokinon 10mm, which only has an aperture of f2.8, or the super expensive Voigtlander T.95, which costs $1,100 new and goes for around $800 to $900 used. Now, I don't own any 12mm lenses, but I do enjoy the focal length. There are really only 4 primes that you have to choose from, and those would be a Panasonic f1.4, Olympus f2, Rokinon f2, and SLR Magic T2.8. The best and most expensive of these is the Panasonic. It's an amazingly sharp lens that will give you good bokeh and works well in low light. However, all that goodness will cost you $1,300 new and $900 to $1,000 used. The Olympus is around $650 new, and the SLR Magic is a cine lens and will cost you about $500, with the Rokinon being the best value for under $300. I've seen footage with that lens and it's pretty impressive. Next in my lineup are the 14mm f2.5 and 15mm f1.7 by Panasonic. The reason I talk about these two together is because they're similar in a few ways. They're both fairly compact, with the 14mm being a pancake style lens. They're super sharp and give you an amazing picture. The 14mm is discontinued, but it's pretty easy to find a copy on eBay for under $200. I've even seen it sell for under $100. The 15mm is much pricier, coming in around $600 new, and can be found used for around $400. Now, something a lot of folks don't know is that some of DJI's drone cameras use a Micro Four Thirds mount, and they had a partnership with Panasonic that let them produce a DJI branded copy of the 15mm. I found one of these on eBay for under $300. Also occupying a similar space in the lineup are entries from Sigma, Olympus, and Voigtlander. Sigma has a 16mm f1.4 that is excellent, but it's a lot bigger and heavier than Panasonic's offerings, and Olympus has a 17mm f1.8 that's well known and well loved, but also have a smaller, cheaper, discontinued 17mm f2.8 and a bigger, sexier 17mm f1.2 from their Pro collection of lenses. Voigtlander, however, puts them all to shame with an incredible f.95, which I did a video on a while back. Now, I'm not quite sure if this last lens really qualifies as a wide angle, but we're going to rock with it for now. It's the Camland 21mm f1.8. I haven't really seen anyone talking about this lens, and the only place it's available for Micro Four Thirds in the US seems to be on Adorama's website. Amazon only has the Fuji X-mount version. It clocks in at $170 new, and I view it as a good alternative to the Panasonic 20mm f1.7. That one sells for $267 new, but can be found anywhere from $200 to $240 used. The reason I prefer this to the Panasonic, which has autofocus, is because I tend to shoot manual most of the time, and the autofocus motors in the 20mm have a reputation of being really slow. Plus, if I'm focusing manually, I'd much rather have an actual manual lens with a good throw distance instead of a fly-by-wire system that'll drive me crazy. So that's going to be it for this episode. I tried to keep it as budget friendly as possible, but when it comes to good glass and wide angles in particular, budget friendly is kind of relative. But I'm always on the lookout for a good deal or a budget friendly alternative, so if I find out about something, you're going to hear about it. That being said, please leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite lens was that I talked about today, or what your favorite wide angle lens is that you're using in your setups, because I really want to know. And don't be afraid to hit that like button, ring the bell, hit the subscribe, all those things. Be a part of the notification gang, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. It's your boy Alex Miner.